I remember that horrendous day with frightening clarity, every detail etched painfully in my mind. I close my eyes and see their grinning faces looming at me. I hear their heartless laughter ring loud and sharp. 12th of July 1842, the day my life changed forever. The day I was betrayed, and all with the simple roll of a dice. My brother was a cruel, vicious boy, puffed up with self-importance despite having no skill or good grace to offer anyone. Every day, I sent silent thanks to the heavens, grateful that our beloved parents were not here to see the depths to which my brother had sunk. He had always been a braggart, a drunk, a gambler, and a bully. But without the guiding hand of our father, he had fallen ever deeper into a mire of depravity. The fortune our parents had left on their passing was slowly but surely frittered away. My brother adored any form of betting, especially that involving the dice. However, his love was not reciprocated, and his debt spiraled out of control. The day in question saw my brother entertaining several of his friends, and I made a special effort to hide myself away from their smirking eyes and insidious comments. I could hear the festivities grow louder and more raucous, my heart hammering as the atmosphere became pregnant with threat. Eventually, the sounds of departure could be heard, and I began to relax until my bedroom flew open and my boorish brother stood swaying on the threshold, his face flushed from the wine and brandy he had evidently consumed. He ordered me to come downstairs and meet his friend. I refused, shrinking away from his towering figure as he reached out to grab my wrist, wrenching me from the safety of my room and dragging me down to the billiards room. The room was in a state of disarray, with wine splashed upon the floor and furnishings, cigars left to burn perilously in makeshift ashtrays. A tall figure stood before me, dressed in the finest clothes, a generous smile upon his lips, yet his eyes betrayed the evil within him. My brother pushed me towards this man, introducing him as his close friend, Sir Charles Wickham. I begged to leave the room, but my brother forced me to sit, saying that Sir Charles had asked especially that I join them. The two men sat at the games table and began to play their game of dice in earnest. I was too confused and bewildered to follow the game, but it soon dawned on me that my brother was losing badly. The wine poured, and my brother became more and more inebriated and more reckless. On the dice rolled, and my hysteria grew as I saw what little of our fortune we had being lost to this devil of a man. I forgot myself and shouted to my brother to stop the madness. He looked at me as though he had quite forgotten who I was. I recall how his face twisted and grew malicious in the candlelight, a vicious sneer turning his features into a grotesque caricature. "I do have one more thing to gamble," he said. "My sister." He was joking. Of course he was. I laughed at the preposterous idea, but my laughter died in my throat when Sir Charles accepted the wager. "But you cannot do such a thing," I screamed. "You cannot bet upon a human being." "Have a care, sister, and do stop your caterwauling. I won't lose." On the game played, the dice clattering against the wooden table, until my brother reached across to shake the hand of his opponent. "Well done, Charles. She's all yours." I protested, I screamed, I begged, but nothing would stop this dreadful outcome. "It's high time you were married, sister. You are in my charge, and I can do with you as I wish. Stop your sniveling, girl. Sir Charles will make a fine husband." And so, I found myself taken against my will to a cold, imposing manor house in the middle of nowhere, forced into a marriage with an inhuman husband. Oh, how he enjoyed beating me, humiliating me, hurting me at every opportunity. I longed to escape from this hell, but I had no one to turn to. My brother had sold me to this malevolent creature and would talk to me no more. For 6 long months, I endured this nightmare, tending to my frequent cuts and bruises, trying to blot out the awful indignities heaped upon me. I knew it was only a matter of time before he killed me. So, early one morning, I crept out of the house and walked through the meadow to the lake, whereupon my life ended. My body was never found, but I ensured that enough evidence was left at the scene to show that I had entered the lake and drowned. Back at the manor house, the local constabulary discovered many clues to indicate that a violent struggle had taken place, with bloodied items of clothing matching those that were found at the water's edge. Although my darling husband could not be charged with murder thanks to the lack of a body, there was enough to suggest that he had killed me, and so his life was virtually destroyed. The rumor mill went into overdrive, and the name of Sir Charles Wickham was mud. No one would come near him. No one would do business with such a devil, and he lost nearly everything. I watched these events unfold, but I took no joy in my revenge. I was free in body, but my betrayed heart was still trapped. I could only be truly free when the instigator of my horror atoned for his wrongdoing. I haunted the family home on Calendar Square, hiding amongst the shadows as I spied on my brother. He was clearly drinking heavily, his face bloated and permanently ruddy from his consumption of so much wine. He still entertained his gambling friends, hosting many an evening of cards and dice. I managed to inveigle my way into certain circles, where I heard tale after tale of the pathetic Sebastian Fitzwilliam and his propensity to lose so well at dice. I bided my time, gathering information, planning my next move. I knew that on Wednesday evenings, the now diminished serving staff was allowed the evening off. Brother Dear would be alone. I lingered in the gardens opposite the house, my mind flitting from happy thoughts of living in the house when Mama and Papa were alive to the wretched memories of being there without them, at the mercy of my brother. I watched the staff leave, their excited chatter drifting through the cool air to my hiding spot. I waited a few moments in case one of them returned for a forgotten item, and then made my way to the house, climbing the familiar steps and letting myself into the house as quietly as I could. The house looked bare. My brother had clearly been selling the furniture and paintings to pay off his debts. Anger surged within me. How dare he? Light filtered underneath the closed door of the study, and I moved towards it, listening carefully for any signs of life from within. He was inside the room. I could hear his heavy breath, the clink of decanter against glass, and the gentle glug of liquid being poured. I could hear no conversation. He was quite alone. And then another sound, one that had haunted me since the 12th of July. The sound of dice rolling across wood. I slowly opened the door. Oh, I took such delight in watching my brother's face turn from irritation at the disturbance to confusion and finally to fear.